The title of our term paper is the death penalty effective? This term paper is targeted towards the public and the countries who still implement the death penalty. We appeal to them by saying that in the course of history, the death penalty has allowed us to execute serial killers, rapists, terrorists, and many more dangerous people from our society, thus keeping us safer. But the death penalty does come with many drawbacks and questions of morality and life's sacredness. Our attention getter is using the execution of Ted Bundy, the serial killer and necrophile who kidnapped, raped, and murdered numerous young women and girls during the 1970s. The interest in this topic was sparked by a quote from Bryan Stevenson, an American lawyer, social justice activist, the founder of Equal Justice Initiative, and a clinical professor at New York University School of Law, who told the public and the government to question the morality of the death penalty. The death penalty has been established ever since early human history. The first established death penalty laws date as far back as the 18th century BC in Babylon. And there are still many countries who still implement this to this day. Recently, many critics are questioning the effectiveness of the death penalty. The countries who still implement the death penalty are China, India, USA, and Malaysia. The thesis statement is that the death penalty is ineffective. Our first main idea is that the death penalty is a bad deterrent of crime. Ernest van den Haag, a professor of jurisprudence at Farnham University, mentions that capital punishment or death penalty is likely to deter more than other punishments because people fear death more than anything else. However, statistics do not lie. In 2007, murder rates in some of the states in the USA that still had the death penalty exceeded those in the states who have abolished it by no less than 42%. Another evidence is from Brennan Center of Justice. The report, What Caused the Crime Decline, concluded that the death penalty does not have an effect on bringing crime down. Secondly, many innocent people have been executed before via the death penalty. A study published in Proceedings of National Academy of Science determined that at least 4% of people on death row were and are likely innocent. Larry Swearingen from Texas, USA was executed on August 21st, 2019, even though significant flaws with virtually every piece of evidence in his case and strong evidence that it was physically impossible for him to have committed the crime. Thirdly, it is extremely costly to execute death row inmates. Richard C. Dieter, the former executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center or the DPIC, stated that all the studies concluded that the death penalty is much more expensive than an alternative system in which the maximum sentence is life in prison.
Finally, the death penalty can be used as a political tool and is susceptible to abuse of power. Wrongful convictions aren't always the result of innocent mistake. Many defenders of death penalty would argue that wrong convictions are innocent mistake. They are byproduct of having a trial by justice and mistake made by the forensic officers, and not an abuse of power. However, this is sadly false. There's strong evidence that when Texas Governor Rich Pretty pushed aggressively of executions of Cameron took William Harms, he did so over the objections of forensic expert who determines that William Harms was innocent, even going so far as to replace member of and country forensic commissions when they are about to release a report exonerating William Harms, who was executed in 2004. Here are some solutions to consider the deterring crime. We need to take into considerations that rehabilitation is much more effective than retributions. Many countries, like the USA, lack facilities that provide rehabilitation of criminals. Increase the funding of imprisonments, include more facility, manpower of psychotherapy, and teaching prisoners in order to release them and allow them to play a role in supporting the economy. If the death penalty is not abolished, more innocent people will die, more potential of contributions for society, and the economy will be lost. And many people will fall victims due to political manipulations. And public opinion on the death penalty will become less favorable, causing unwanted frictions and conflict the government. In conclusion, we tend to live in a world where retribution is more favorable than rehabilitations. Use violence will not solve violence, just like how fire cannot fight the fire. It is just an easy way out and cause more unnecessary damage and conflict in our society. Thank you.